Hey everyone, welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast, where we dive into the people, stories, and iconic moments that have helped make sneakers a global phenomenon. If you've ever told someone that you like their kicks, then you're in the right place. Before we lace up this episode, here's a little teaser for you. Stick around to the end of each episode for the last shot question. It's a chance to test your sneaker knowledge and engage with our community. I've also recently started a newsletter to share my knowledge from nearly 2 decades of experience working in the footwear industry. You can find the link to that below or go to sneakerhistory.com/newsletter for a weekly deep dive into the biggest topics in the sneaker business. All right, now that the business is taken care of, grab your favorite pair of kicks and let's get started with the episode.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, wherever you may be. This is yet another episode of the Sneaker History Podcast. I'm Rohit Malhotra, and alongside me, the Dr. Dre to my Snoop, Mike Hillary. Mike, what's going on?
Not much, buddy. How you doing today, man?
It's actually a nice day in the Pacific Northwest, so I can't really complain. How about you? How's everything down south?
Yeah, it's a out of the ordinary nice day here as well. We usually have been getting pounded with either rain or 1,000,000 degrees, and right now I think it's 88, so sub 100. I'll take it. Or
yeah,
sub 90.
I was gonna say temperature like sneaker prices. If you're in 2 digits or less, you're always gonna have a fan out of me. But Mike, we are kind of hitting that point in the calendar, especially from a sneaker and sport perspective, where things look ironically a little bit dry. So I guess my question to you, the off-topic sneaker history question of the day, what is your current pop culture obsession now that most of our favorite sports are coming to a close?
Man, my pop culture obsessions, I'm going to get to one here in a minute, but the thing I've been really into now have been 3 animes I've been really diving into. Because new seasons have come on, or some are just new in general. But fell in love with the anime Kaiju number 8. If you hadn't seen it, fantastic show. One of the best anime intro and exit songs or outro songs. Which, funny enough, One Republic did the outro song to the show.
So you're saying it's too late to apologize if you have any issues?
Yeah, if you haven't watched the show, it's too late to apologize. No. Demon Slayer has come out with its new season, and then, of course, My Hero Academia. So my Saturday mornings are filled up just like I was when I was 10 years old. So it's been fantastic. And one of the pop culture conundrums I've been kind of seeing around has been Star Wars in regards to the Acolyte. A lot of push and pull back and forth on that one, but I know we wanted to kind of talk about that because I haven't watched more than 2 episodes. But I've seen clips. I've seen how they've kind of retconned some of the lore, and people are not quite happy about it. So, have you seen anything?
No, I haven't seen anything. Self-professed, not much of a Star Wars guy, especially when I compare it to the other pop culture obsessions that I have. But I also am not a fan of this practice of, hey, we don't like how certain canon events are no longer considered official or they're tainted. So we're going to review bomb something because for all intents and purposes, I believe that for all the people that are objectively looking at that show, it's doing really well. And I think there are only 3 episodes, so you're not too far behind. But then I also saw the irony of all ironies. There was another show called The Acolytes, plural, that apparently was getting a lot of the review bombing that people meant for Star Wars, The Acolyte. So it's one of my pet peeves in life. If you're going to be racist to me, at least get my race right so that way you can use the appropriate slur. And similarly, if you're going to review bomb something, make sure you know it's the right show you're actually review bombing. So that's my little soapbox rant with regards to that. As for me and my pop culture obsessions, looking forward to The Bear. I believe that's coming out. I need to get caught up in season 2. And then I do love a good game show, reality show, and I believe The Mole season 2 on Netflix is coming out, and that's always one of the more interesting premises. So I guess that would be it for me, but I think you and I are also waiting for a certain July 26th to hit so we can ultimately decide what is going to happen with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I think that might be the last straw.
Yeah, I have high hopes for it because to this point, when someone has that kind of passion behind a character, just Ryan Reynolds by himself when it comes to Deadpool, I've heard rumors. I'm sure a lot of this stuff is probably, again, toxic fan made up things, but at the same time, I know he does keep that character really close to the chest, and I know Hugh Jackman's not coming back for anything less than great. So I'm hopeful for what is to come with that. To be fair, you and I both know this is going to be more of a fan service film, so I'm not looking for any big progressions in plot. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like this is going to be more of what we got with Spider-Man No Way Home. A lot of fan service, great movie.
Yeah. Essentially, you get that set piece, and I think we're all fans of fan service when done right. And I think Star Wars has not kind of shown that, in the sense that I forgot what the most recent newer movie is, but they tried to have their own endgame moment where it seemed like every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the galaxy was going to fight the newly resurrected Count Sidious, or whatever the hell his name was in that. Apologies if I get it wrong. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And to your point as well, there's a certain comedic sensibility that I myself have not gotten tired of with regards to Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. And I'm really interested to see how Deadpool-y is this upcoming movie. Yeah. But speaking of hopes and desires, we're going to transition from hopes and desires to needs and wants. So, Mike, as is the case, whenever you listen to an episode of the Sneaker History Podcast, what is your most recent round of rocking and copping?
My most recent rocking is going to be my Reebok Nano 2s. It is a Friday afternoon or morning for Rohit on the West Coast, and so I just come back from the gym, and this is what I wore. Super great for weightlifting. Not the most cushiony shoe, but super nice for get it firmly planted on the ground. And I like the color because it pays tribute to the Instapump Fury in the original neon color. Copping. As we've already discovered in the past few episodes, I am literally just a sucker for anything Olympic or Olympic adjacent. And this sneaker has dropped sporadically at skate shops as of late, but it's going to be the Nike Dunk Low Trocadero Garden. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but it is a Paris-based sneaker. It is inspired by the garden area in front of the Eiffel Tower, which is supposed to be, I guess, part of this rollout leading up into the Paris Olympics, to my knowledge. And super nice. It's what people called the Neapolitan Dunk a few months back before it had the actual story put out there.
No, absolutely. In fact, as you were kind of waxing poetic about it, I went to look it up on Google Image. And I like the Neapolitan comparison, but if I'm going to be the ice cream snob that I know I can be, I feel like that's got more of a dreamsicle feel myself, because it's got that orange and white. But who's to say? For me, with regards to copping and rocking, last week was a pretty heavy copping week because I was able to get a pair of the Kobe Girl Dads, probably for a little bit more than I wanted, but at least I'm able to secure it. And it was an authentic pair in the sense that the person that mailed it to me just took their label that Nike had sent them and put a new one on. So kudos to you, unnamed gentleman. And then also I was able to hit on the Air Max DT96 in the white, black, and gold colorway. And let me tell you, I did not realize how hot that sneaker was. It was a work raffle. I was able to hit, and I was like, okay, it almost became an afterthought of, do I really need to spend the X amount to get this? But then as I was standing in line, the bug kind of caught me, and other people's excitement about it also essentially kind of pushed me over the edge in a good way in terms of buying the sneaker. But my goodness, that it was a fantastic sneaker. And the only slight nitpick that I have, Nike, is one of my secret jobs in life is try to bring back Nike posters, the division. I don't know if that's going to happen because I think for a lot of us, the newest thing we have to a poster is our phone lock screen. But if you saw that Lamborghini, or might have been a Ferrari, with the entire all black, all murdered out Sanders family, take my money, please. Let me pay an extra $8 and get that as a poster, because that was sensational.
I'm sure Colorado still has sucker in their bookstore somewhere.
I mean, it's so funny because I keep seeing the same meme about going to Scholastic book fairs, and if you have like $20, you're about to buy like 5 Animorphs and a Lamborghini poster. Let me go ahead and buy that Lamborghini poster. If it's at the University of Colorado bookstore, let me know. I'll buy it, because I just think there's something to be said about really sweet posters. And I know I sound incredibly nerdy when I say that, but hey, guess what? I'm on a podcast. We're inherently nerdy.
That's what we do.
As for my coppin', and I think, Mike, we'll use this as a segue to probably talk about one of our favorite sneakers of the year, that Nike Air Jordan RM Nigel Sylvester. I believe it's called the Grandma's Driveway or Grandma's Fence color. It's inspired essentially from Nigel Sylvester, who's probably the best BMX person on the world, safe to say. And he's getting a takedown model. And Mike, talk to us a little bit about it, because you and I think, can wax poetic about this shoe for at least 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, and one of those things is like, in our mind, just like, do we really need a Jordan 4 low? No, we don't. I'm in the school of thought that I feel like I feel like Nike should have dubbed this Nigel Sylvester signature. I think that would have been cool. That would have been great because he does move the needle when it comes to releases. Everything he's done so far, I think, has been his Jordan 1, of course. He's had a Nike ID Air Force One collaboration as well. He's had his friends and family airships that people were trying to figure out how to get their hands on. It has been he's done very well. He's very recognizable character, and his shoe itself looks great. I love the forest green. I love how really they took a story and equated to him. It wasn't something that was like this forced story. Made sense. He learned to ride a bike in his grandma's driveway. The fence colors, that nice forest green, they interpreted into the sneaker. And then from there, we got the shoe. Even the box has, where typically on the 4 you have the cement print at the bottom. They took pictures of his grandma's driveway, and that's the cement print on the box, along with, I think, the wrap. The
wrap is
paper.
a picture of him, I think, with a bicycle at the very first time, or one of the very first times he was near a bike. And it's something that I know you and I especially are particularly fond of, which is the storytelling. And I think so often we let storytelling get relegated to the paragraph that they put on a product listing, whether it be on sneakers.com, wherever. And for Air Jordan to do this in terms of take that storytelling out and really blow it out so it incorporates every aspect of the shoe, not just the shoe itself, but the shoe box, the wrapping paper inside or the tissue paper, and even something as simple as changing the N to a B and it's Bikey Air or Bike Air, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just shows that they get it. And it's something that at times we probably vilify them a little too much in terms of, you guys are not getting the story. You're just literally putting the shoes in the box and hitting go live on your website, and then off they go. But this really was a step, or rather a spoke or a peg in the right direction. It's one of those things as well that, as I was kind of doing a little bit more research on the shoe, this is considered a takedown model. And I will say this, that term becomes very much loosely associated, especially over the last couple of years, where we were talking about something like LeBron's takedown model costing $160, which for a lot of us, that's a pair of a regular signature shoe. But that, to me, is what's really interesting, because I have not seen a hype generated around any takedown model the way I have for this. Yeah. What do you think, Mike?
I think it's probably because it's super polarizing. It is one of those sneakers where I feel like there's just only you like it or you hate it. That's what I've seen. But I've seen that people become more open-minded. Again, I think it helps that they got Nigel in front of that, because I feel like he's very tapped into fashion, culture. So I think people will generally, if he says it's cool or he has that collaboration, people will flock to it. Now, his collaboration guarantees going to sell out. If it didn't, I would put money it would sell out, right? And I'm talking about instantly. Now, they have a few different colorways they put out there. I think they've actually looked good. I actually have not seen one colorway I'm like, oh, this is terrible. Still getting used to the cut of the shoe. But with me, I'm okay with something different, because we get the same thing so much over and over and over again. And by no means do I think this is innovation at its finest, but I do like that we took something that we've been getting so much of and changed it up a little bit. I'm hoping it's not $160. I would rather not pay $160 for a takedown model. That nice $120, maybe $140 for Nigel's, because it's the collaboration and limited. But it's a cool shoe, especially for today's fashion. People look at the way people are wearing clothes now. Baggier cargo pants are coming back, baggier jeans. People are looking to, you're getting vilified for wearing ankle socks, which is wild to me. They really constructed a shoe that goes and fits with all those different fashion trends right now. From, hey, I want to wear long socks with this. I want to wear this with a baggy clothes. Yeah, it really fits this particular fashion, cycle that we're in now. And I think overall people are going to like it. Will it be one of those hot off the presses every time we look at and get a pair is going to sell out? I don't think so. But I think it will have a decent enough run to where, we will have a good amount of colorways, or maybe they will, hopefully not. We don't need to do this, but maybe you'll see a Jordan 3 low. We don't need that whole thing, but at least get the wheels turning for maybe some other things out there to just change up a bit.
Yeah, and what's also interesting about the 4 is it's unofficially become the action shoe of choice with regards to Jordan brand and the rest of Nike's action sport offerings, because we had the very popular green SB4 last year. I think we're getting another SB4 this year, and I'm really interested to see who had made that connection, because It hits. It's working. It feels genuine. And not to sound like the broken record we often tend to be in a reoccurring podcast like Mike and I are part of, but there is an authenticity there that it doesn't look too out of place. Like it has still the tendencies or the characteristics of the basketball silhouette, but it has been modernized and it has been adapted to reflect a more action sports sensibility, and I think we're all here for that. So kudos to you, Jordan Brand. Hopefully both Mike and I can do a future episode where we're not only talking about it as a copping, we've actually talked about it as a rocking, because it does look really authentic and really cool.
Mm-hmm. And funny enough, as we end on this Jordan 4 point, I've seen more people skating in the military force than I've seen people skating in SB fours.
Really?
Mm-hmm. A lot of content I've seen people skating in fours. I don't know if it's because the value of the force, so the SB4 so high, they don't want to mess it up. But I've seen multiple people now at this point skating in military blue fours in their content, while SB4s are still clean sitting on shelves. And again, I'm not saying everyone records themselves skating, so I'm sure there are people out there using the SB4s for the purpose. But when it comes to things I've actually consumed, I've seen more military blue fours. Maybe because you can buy multiple pairs. Maybe you can have one to keep on ice and keep clean, and I can skate this one and tear it up. So maybe that's the reason, because I'm sure it's not as easy to do that with the SB4s. Even if you got it for retail, I'm sure you're not getting a second pair for retail.
No, not at all. And I think to your point as well, we've known as a tendency that skateboarders tend to buy their shoes in bulk because they're also very quick to destroy them, because it's a very demanding sport to be a part of. So it doesn't make it does make sense. It does not make sense that I use that, but it does make sense that we are seeing now shoes that are sitting that we normally associate with different brands becoming a wherewithal for skateboarding or biking. Because I'll use this as an example. Another shoe that's near and dear to both Mike and my heart, the AE1. I think I saw a fairly prominent skateboarder whose name now escapes me on Anthony Edwards' Instagram page using that as his skate shoe, or it might have been a BMX. Wow. So it's one of those things that I'm here for any cross-sport collaboration, because I think Mike and I are very privy to the fact that we'll buy a good basketball tennis mashup like that. Yeah. But now if you're also kind of going outside that comfort zone and going from traditional sports to quote-unquote extreme sports, why not? Because the story is done right. It makes sense. It looks good. That's why we're here.
I am with it. Like you make it make sense to us. You got a customer.
Yeah. If you ever needed that core 35 and older male demographic, we're here for that. Yeah. You know what else I'm here for, Mike? We're not even halfway through the year, but the amount of heat that's coming out next year is absurd. And it's almost one of those things of, are you a foam person? You got 2 heat coming your way. Are you a Kobe person? Next year might be the year of Kobe in a way that I don't think we've seen in a while. Yeah. And then the usual Jordan Fair, because Jordan's always going to draw up some high heat throughout the year. But what was taken back to me, and I guess we'll start at the Kobe's, is I've not seen so many Kobe's that were so prestigious previously now seemingly getting ready for a general release, because off the top of my head, we're going to see releases for the Kobe's 8 and 9. Yep. Now, the 9 tends to be a very polarizing topic, but we'll first go to the 8, which is probably one of my favorite sneakers of all time. Mike, how are you feeling about this? Because that is a girl sneaker for a lot of people, and I'm okay with more people having it because it is a really beautiful pair of shoes, but I did not think we'd see that this early.
I didn't think we would either. Definitely one that I would love to have. I'm not holding my breath so much because I know how this game goes already, but I will try.
There's no harm in trying. To quote Yoda, we don't try.
We do or do not. There's no try. But I really like it. I'm in the same vein as you, Rohit. I'm not opposed to limited sneakers in past lives becoming more accessible, more available, because that's what it's all about. It's really great that people will have a chance. Hopefully there's more than 5,000 pairs of these floating around, but I am hopeful, and I'm happy that people are able to relive and that moment in time where, hey, maybe I couldn't get it before, now I have a chance again, 10 years later. I can really appreciate that. And what I've seen now is that Nike, again, I know I'm really hard on them a lot of times, but when you like something so much, I think you have to be hard to get the best things out of them, and that's what any sneaker brand I like. But I like that they're taking stuff out of the vault and making it available. I mean, I know I'm going to get a lot of people in comments and whatever saying, no, it takes the lure away from it. It's for me. I truly don't wear this for anybody else. I'm not keeping it for money purposes. It's just, I like to wear cool stuff. So if I have a chance to get, the Kobe 8, or not even just that one, but they're not the 9, but they're doing the initial, like the first release colorway of the 9 as well.
The black and kind of orangey green one.
It's like the multicolor, I guess they call it.
Yeah. I'll look that up. Keep going.
That one's going to be releasing as well. So it's really cool to be able to get this stuff, man. I mean, they even, like, if we're looking past Kobe's, I just saw a picture before scrolling. Looks like, I don't know if it's going to be into this year or next year. I didn't see a date, but even like Christmas KD 4s. I mean, I know they're trying to draw more interest in the KD line, but it's just really cool to see that stuff again. Is for us being at a certain age, and I know there were people older than us, even people younger than us who were into sneakers at that same time. It's nice to have the ability to go back and get it and not worry about it falling apart or someone knocking us over the head with the cost because they don't make it anymore. And this seems to kind of be the reoccurring theme with Nike right now, is that they're bringing back things that they knew meant something. So I will give them the props with that. I think it's cool that they bring back these nostalgia-driven items besides just Jordan retros.
I mean, it's so much so that the term Jordan and retro almost became redundant because that was the only retro worth a damn. But especially now with Kobe, and not just Nike, right? I know Adidas next year is also looking at releasing probably the most polarizing sneaker of its time, the Adidas Kobe 2. I mean, I know I'm a big fan of it in the same way I think people are fans of the Cybertruck. There's a certain beauty in its ugliness, so that's what we kind of are captivated by. But I will say this. I'm ready for the proverbial Jordan v. Kobe battle when it comes to retros, because I think too often Jordan has had that crown, and they've made a lot of money releasing retros that we feel are tasteful within the spirit of the OG releases. And then there are retros that were like, I see what you did there. You just needed the cash influx, and more power to you, my kings and my queens. But Mike, from a non-Nike perspective, is there any other sneaker that you would want who you would want to come out in 2025 in terms of your own personal wish list? Because I think so often we get caught up in the fact that, hey, the calendar is going to be swamped for the next 6 months, but this is a little bit of me, so to speak.
Yeah, no, great question. So you already answered one, like the Kobe 2 coming out is a fantastic drop. I know, again, super polarizing, but that is the awesomeness behind that sneaker. Is so weird that I think people will enjoy it. At least me and you. What else do we have coming out? Or at least what did I want? I am trying to think. I would love to get some more. I would love to get some more premium Anter 5s from Reebok. They did a couple of really premium ones. Like there were some Complex Con ones, some Eric Emanuel ones. Those were together, of course. But I would love to see some more of those. There's a lot of things out there. I know Saucony is going to be dropping. I think it's the Saucony Matrix. One I wasn't familiar with until recently. Like, holy crap, that's a really cool shoe. But there's a lot of things out there. I can probably think if you just release all D-Rose sneakers, again, they did up to like the 1.5 Pro Trail. If they kept going with more of those D-Rose line Pro Trails, I wouldn't be upset about it because that's one of my favorite basketball lines of all time. That'd be awesome.
No, I think that's fair, and especially with the fact that I wonder when D Rose's Hall of Fame eligibility starts, and I think he might still be in the league. Sorry, I'm officially now an NBA casual, so if you know those answers at the top of your head, let me know on my email or on our Twitter at Sneaker History. But it's one of those things with regards to, as we're kind of coming back to this topic around retros and what we would want to see, I also think that, like, we'll use the example of the Deion Sanders shoe, right? Granted, Deion Sanders is probably the person in all of college football. He's its North Star. Everything that we are going to be watching from a college football perspective is going to be Sanders-centric, whether anybody wants to care to admit it or not. But, I mean, I hope this is also a domino that results in other people seeing a retro of their cross-trainer / football shoes, like the Jerome Bettis shoe. I know in past years we've seen a retro of an Emmitt Smith shoe from Reebok. Like, football is also kind of have a moment, and to take things to full Kobe as we are prone to do in this particular episode, I think one of the most intriguing shoes for me upcoming in the next year
is the Kobe Grinch cleat, the football cleat.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
No, I mean, and it's become one of those things that kudos to Team Kobe at Nike for really trying to make it a full court press where they're coming after areas that we previously thought, to your point, Mike, tended to be operated only by Jordan retros, right? Like, it's not uncommon to see a Jordan baseball cleat. It's not uncommon to see a Jordan football cleat. Hell, we've also seen soccer cleats. But in the last year, with regards to, I think, the LeBron 4 Fruity Pebbles and now the Kobe 6 Grinch, like, this is really interesting.
Yep. No, I think so as well. Sorry, I'm turning down my 3-year-old's cartoon because it started like blowing in my ear there.
What is she watching?
What was it? I honestly have no idea what it is. I wish I could tell you. Something random. She just pulled up on my phone on kids' YouTube. I'm like, I gotta watch that because I'm like, I don't know what you weirdos are putting.
Oh, okay. Talk about the shoe, and then we can end on a 5 to 10 minute tangent about kids' YouTube because, kids man, YouTube. Do I have thoughts.
God, I have all the thoughts. I'm like, look, I know YouTube, you pay me, but you need to get your kids' stuff under control before I go fight somebody. Anywho, I think I love that they are reaching out for that. I forgot about the cleats completely. So you got the Kobe Grinch cleats, which I'm not gonna lie, if they sit around, I'm not gonna be the first person to buy them because I don't need them. Oh, yeah. I'm a firm believer. If I don't need something, if you need it, go get it. But if it's still sitting on a Nike website after release and it's hanging around in my size, yes, I will buy it to put in my office. Stupid, but yes, I will. But there's also, did you see the black cement Jordan 3 cleat as well, which they took the action. They didn't change anything but the sole kit. So I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, man, you know how many freaking football players are just looking fly next year with these Jordan 3 and Kobe cleats on?
I'm just happy for variety, right? Because it felt like there was always a Jordan 1 cleat. It was always in the bread colorway. Yep. And now we have variety that we never once got accustomed to with regards to the football cleat perspective. And it's one of those things where I also hope that the heat gets turned down from the cleat department because I'm not trying to open up a cleated history podcast where it's just us talking, ropping, and copping for cleats. Because it's getting to that point. Like right now, it's funny you mentioned this. There's a pair of Travis Kelce cleats on .com, right? I'm a Chiefs fan, not really breaking news. And it's one of those things that I feel like I need to support them by getting as much of their merchandise as possible. But to your point, I think cleated footwear is a bridge too far at this moment in time because it tends to get expensive. And to your point, you can't even utilize the excuse of, if I wear it, that's like the overall payment of it.
That one flag football game you're going to play every 2 years, you just, let me break these out. I mean, I'd be the freshest guy out there pulling the freaking hamstring because I shouldn't be out there. But, I mean, you got of course, you have the soccer stuff, which gets me every time, like the Tuned Air stuff. You got all this cool stuff they do with these cleats now, which is, again, it's just it makes sense because they want to look cool too. But it's like it's a money grab at me because I don't need it, but they're going to get me because I think it looks cool. But I don't know, man. There's just some really cool stuff coming out. Sometimes I wish we didn't know so much ahead of time because it kind of takes the surprise away. But hey, this is what we do, so we're definitely going to talk about it. But I guess one of the last releases I want to talk about because it is such a moment in history, which I think was the big pendulum swing in sneaker culture becoming very hype driven, more like where it's at least more visible and there's a microscope on it. When we started seeing resale just get nonsensical. Foamposite 1 Galaxy is coming back. And something's telling me that it won't be like the LeBron Galaxy. It won't be like the KD Galaxy where it was, if you wanted it, you could get it. I feel like, honestly, I don't know, these older models, it all came to head for me really that wheels started turning when I saw the 17 release. Okay. I think Nike's going to make this limited again, like really limited. And just like 17 was a very undesirable model, but you make something limited enough, you pull enough nostalgia. I think I hope not because people were wild in 2012, but I think we're going to have another February 2012 moment of just nonsense trying to get the shoe.
Really? Because, I mean, it was one of those things that I never saw it with regards to that shoe. And I'll be the first to admit it. Yeah. I know I'm in the minority, but I was always taken back because I think we've all had that moment, especially as sneakerheads, where you're like, this shoe is hitting? Really? Like, this is what we're beating each other up over? This is what we're, like, putting a lot of our families in jeopardy, so to speak, for this particular shoe. But if it is the case, I will say this.
now that we are probably, let's say, 12 years removed from that golden era, if you consider the golden era of modern sneakers to be, let's say, between 2012 to 2015, a lot of those shoes are now getting retro because they're in that 10-year time frame.
Mm-hmm.
The impression that I get is even the most limited of shoes will have more stock now than they did back then.
For sure.
Now, to your point, Mike, are we still going to see it be a very exclusive shoe that, let's say, I'm completely making up the numbers here. In 2012, there was only 10,000 pairs of this. Are we going to get 50,000? Will that be enough? Probably not. But it is that idea of inclusion, the idea of I've got them now, so I can't be a part of it, that I'm going to be very intrigued by. Because if we're looking at the precedents that's been set by these KD retros, these LeBron retros, these Kobe retros, the thought is, I would say there's a mid-level size in terms of offering, somewhere between 40 to 80,000 tends to be that magic number.
Yeah.
If they can get that, I think they're going to be properly coveted in terms of anybody that wants them will be able to pay retail, maybe not under retail, but hopefully not over retail as well. And I think that's the ideal sweet spot for any retro.
For sure. I mean, I really hope so. But also, I was like going back and just looking at trends. So again, like I say, Jordan 17 I'm using as one case study. The DT Max is also another case study. That shoe sold out pretty dang fast. I think maybe you could find a couple sprinkled in like physical stores if you go in. But I've heard they were eating up quick. I don't know the numbers. But also going back to particular Foamposite releases, and I'm going to use the recent release of the Eggplant. It sold out immediately on sneakers. And sneakers can't beat a bar because not all the stock lies there. But what are you going to do with this? Is this going to be a sneakers release? Is this going to be a neighborhood release like the 17s? Is it going to be, again, a gazillion pairs? We don't know. But if the same people in 2012 who couldn't get the shoe still want the shoe, if those people's kids grew up 10 years later, have money to buy those shoes, now we have another grouping of people who want them. So there's a lot of individuals who could potentially, again, people's interest can change like this, especially over 10 years. So it is such a flip of a coin, either yes or no, this is going to be an easy cop or not. I'm going to try. I know they're going to hit me over the head for like $250, which I'm not excited about. But it's one of those, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is cool. I thought at that point, coming off of working at Champs, just getting my first job after graduating college, when that happened, I was like, oh, I'm about to get this easily. I just got to go House of Hoops down the street from my office, go grab it. Absolutely not. So that was my first experience of just all like craziness when it came to a release, besides the Jordan 11 Concord when I worked at December. And that was nuts as well.
I think that might be a Patreon episode that we'll have to get not only you, but some of our listeners in the community. Like, what were your most memorable, let's use that term so that way we're not alienating or hopefully not inducing any sort of PTSD for our friends out there. But what were your most memorable experiences? But yeah, as we're kind of wrapping up, and we did mention the fact that this is literally the halfway point as and when you get this listener. So Mike, I didn't prep you for this at all, but give me your top 2 sneakers of the mid-year thus far.
Whew, you put me on the spot there.
That's what I do.
AE1 is definitely one of them. My gosh, the second shoe though. Second shoe. I would have to say, and it's gonna be weird because it's funny how this became just like a very popular shoe. I'm going on pure popularity of what I've seen. The Military Blue 4.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, I think it's to the point we made earlier. It's readily available. It's not necessarily one of those ones that's going to be in the quote unquote Disney vault where they're going to release it for 3 weeks and then it's like maybe in 3 years from now we'll do it again. But knock on wood, it's pretty ubiquitous. I see it everywhere. I see a lot of people doing a lot of different things with it. And that to me always kind of indicates it's a hit of a sneaker. It may not necessarily be a traditional hit that we think of in terms of, super prestigious, only going to wear this during the most auspicious of moments. But no, I think there's a beauty in the common everyday use of a very high profile sneaker like that Military 4. So kudos.
Yeah. Definitely. What about you, man?
No, I think the AE one for me is kind of like the Sabrina one last year, where I think whenever we get further and further removed from this year, we're going to talk a lot about that shoe, not only in its actual application, but also some of the other contributing factors. Like the campaigns have been fantastic. I mean, you and I especially seem to bang our drum the loudest for that particular shoe. I'm really excited to see what comes of it. Do we get that low, and do we get that low in a variety of colors the same way we've seen the high or the mid? Yep. And then I think for my other shoe, I really like, and this is saying something because I think when it first came out, the Air Max DN kind of became a punchline for a lot of us because we're like, this doesn't seem that innovative, but it is an aesthetically striking shoe. If you wear it, if you see it, there is something about it where you have to kind of do that double take back. So I would say that. I'm not trying to be too much of a company man, but especially given the plethora of colors that it's available for, like it's hitting in a way that I think is really cool.
I gotta try it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the aesthetic, but I've heard great things about the way it feels on foot. So I think it's one of those ones. I think I need to try it, and maybe it'll grow on me at that point.
That's fine, but at least you're trying it. And I mean, in the spirit of Nick Engvall's message of always telling people, hey, if you like someone's sneakers, tell them. If you like a sneaker, even if it's outside your comfort zone, try it on because who knows what it unlocks. And on that note, we're going to unlock the keys to the weekend. So I hope everybody enjoys this whenever you guys get this. But Mike, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can always find me in here at Sneaker History, of course. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at MadWatcher789. You can always find me on YouTube as well under just Mike Guillory. So, Rohit, where you at, buddy?
On Twitter or /X at Roheezy, on Instagram at RohitM13, also that on Threads. And one last thing before we end, we received some really nice bit of feedback with regards to the Pride Shoe episode. So Nick, thank you for sending that email. We will get to it when all four of us are in the episode because I think it's a topic worth mentioning for all four of our perspectives, but we really appreciate you reaching out. And to our listeners as well, if there's anything you like or dislike about this or any other episodes, feel free to reach out to us at our respective sneaker history emails as well. It's something that I think we want to try to continue going forward, is having that direct line to our audience, which is you guys. And as always, we appreciate the support. So with that, we will see you later. Enjoy the weekend.
Take it easy, everybody.
Hey, Nick here again. Before you take off, I want to thank you for listening to the Sneaker History Podcast. Be sure to hop into our Discord to answer this episode's The Last Shot question and get to know our community of sneaker enthusiasts. If you'd like more insights on the trending topics in the sneaker world, I've also recently started a newsletter to share my knowledge from nearly 2 decades of experience working in the footwear industry. You can find the link to that below or go to sneakerhistory.com/newsletter. And last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to be on the receiving end of some appreciation. Thank you for all the support, and we will catch you on the next episode. Peace.